diys-by-dar. This week I'm taking two prints that I paid $2 a piece and a thrifted frame I paid $5 for and turned it into a nostalgic painting. So let's get into it. I had to lay these down to see where they were going to hit and measured them all up so they were centered. So I had the measurements to create a new mat to hold these two canvases in. But the first thing I need to do is go ahead and take this frame apart and see what I have to work with. So I'm going around and removing all the staples in the frame. Anywhere that they're located, just take them out, even the hanging hardware. And all this painting picture had was one piece of cardboard, which I'm going to use to put my canvases on, and the piece of glass, I'll put that up carefully because I don't want to break it. Now I'm cutting the mats. I have this Logan cutter, and I'll put these items in my description. They are from Amazon, and this cutter has a little line on it, and that is where you want to line it up to start, and that's where you want to line it up to end. Now, you need to secure a straight edge along your line. Get the little line on the device lined up, press down and push forward and stop on your other line, and the cut will stop there. Now, I had a little bit of a dull blade on this and I needed to change it. So the ends were a little bit rough, but that's okay because I am going to put some beautiful decoupage paper around the outside of this mat. So I have it cut out. I have two pieces left, perfect 8x10s. So I will keep those, of course, for another project. So here is my cutout frame, and I'm just going to check to see if it will fit perfectly around where I am going to place my canvases. And it looks pretty good, so I'm pretty happy with that. And I just set the canvases in there, and it fits around nice, so I'm ready to go. Now, I used Mod Podge this time, and it worked really well. I think I'm going to use it from now on. These stuck down really, really nice. But on the back of this big piece of cardboard and my mat, I did lightly spray it with some matte acrylic spray because I wanted to close some of the pores so the glue would stick better. When you get your paintings lined up and pressed down, you can use a roller as well, but just be careful because you don't want to damage your painting. I'm just wiping off any glue that I have around the outside of this, so I'm ready for my next step. This is U.S. Art Supply Acrylic Medium Gloss Gel, and I am going to put this on top of my painting to my canvas to give it a little bit of a texture so it looks like a real painting. So I just take it right out of the bottle and put it on my canvas, and I start to go in swirls. I'll follow the line that if I was painting it, where I would go, like up around through the hair, across the band of the hair. The one thing that I also did at the very, very end when this was dry, I took some triple thick glaze in a gel in a jar, and I put that on their lips, their eyes, and their nostrils just to give it a little bit of an extra shine so it looked wet or moist. So when I get this all completed, I will go ahead and let this dry and continue with the project using my beautiful Made by Marley paper. Her papers are 100% made from recycled materials. You get 3 sheets in a pack. You can find them on Instagram, Facebook, and YouTube. And if you cannot find them there, they have stockists in the U.S. Go to their website at www.madebymarley.co.uk. Now, I am going to use this black piece from this grouping, and I just used the one sheet. I'm going to use Mod Podge and apply it like you normally apply your Mod Podge. I cut out the other strips that are going to run along this frame. I tried to match them up the best that I could, so the painting wouldn't be so extreme on the transitions. So this is what the layout is going to be. And then you can see that I have a couple little spaces. I got a piece in there, and that's where I'm going to have to paint the transition as well. I am adding my Mod Podge on this frame. And remember, I sprayed this frame with some acrylic matte Rust-Oleum spray just to close those pores a bit, so this glue just doesn't soak right in and then lose its tack. The first piece I'm going to set up there at the top, and I like to adhere like maybe an inch where I'm going to start and then work my way down and smooth it. Here somehow I had a glitch in my hand, and then I ended up dropping the piece. But it all worked out okay. It came out without any wrinkles, so I was pleased with that. So here comes the drop. After I smooth this top, I accidentally, I don't know, let go. There it goes. So I smoothed it down, and you can use a cloth, you can use saran wrap. I'm just using my fingers, and what I am going to have to do is turn it over now and apply my paste to the back and also on my paper. And I am going to fold that around and wrap. I'm going to wrap all of them, so my rough corners around will not show from that dull blade, but I really need to change the blade in my equipment. So here's the frame. I have all of my decoupage paper on, so I'm ready to paint. I took out a series of Annie Sloan paints, and I wanted to use them because they're matte. And if you use acrylics, if you have to, sometimes acrylics are shiny. So here is an area where the paper got a little bit crunched or creased, and I'm just filling this in. And if you have trouble matching your color, just go ahead and paint the whole thing with a little bit of that color, and it'll still come out fine and it'll look great, no worries. And from there, I'm outlining the outside again, and I am going to get the rest of this painted in, so that transition line you cannot see. Well, I have the frame all sanded and repaired with some Gorilla Wood filler, and I decided that this needed a few molds on it. So I am going to use some Let's Resin polyurethane resin. This cures up in about 10 minutes, a lot quicker than DOS. It's a two-part mixture. So part A 50%, part B 50%, and then we are going to mix this up. I usually do not weigh this. I just pour it in the cups and I kind of eyeball it on a level surface. And I use Titebond to put these on, which you can see just to the left of my arm. Now, when I add these two together, you want to stir in one direction, not real vigorously, so you create bubbles. And it can take 30 seconds to a minute. Just look at your solution. When it goes clear again, you know it's ready. Or if you start to feel warmth in that cup, you better pour quickly because that reaction is occurring and it's ready to start setting up. So these molds are just some cheap molds, so they're a little bit more difficult to work with, but I'm going to go ahead and carefully try to pour this level, and I will take this out before it hardens because I want to kind of form this around the frame because that frame top edge there is just a little bit thin. So it's still pliable. I'm going to go ahead and take that Titebond glue and spread that all over the back in a nice layer. Don't want to have it too thick, but you want to make sure you have it over every spot. I did measure this up and put this in the middle and press it down. It takes about 15 minutes. It'll be nice and solid. I went ahead and finished putting my molds all the way around my frame. And then if any glue comes out, just clean it up with a Q-tip. Now I have some Rust-Oleum Double X Ultra Matte paint and primer in white. I am going to give this frame 2 coats on each side. And then once it is dry, it should be ready for me to start with my paint colors. Now I had to confer with my 3 furniture flipping friends, and they thought a pumpkin-y orange would look good, so I used Annie Sloan's Paprika, which is a chalk mineral paint, and these paints are flat. And this frame did need 4 coats on the front to cover up all of that white. It just kept kind of peeking through a bit. So 4 coats, and on the molds, you need to go over them a few times anyway, because once they dry, you always see a little spot that the paint sucked up and it missed. So it's looking good, and I'm liking it a lot. I added some black wax to the molds and a little bit on the frame, and then the last is going to be a surprise. Now, this is the HM515 point setter, and I did get it from Amazon. This paper I used is some heavy construction floor paper. The regular craft paper is just too thin for me. I want something a little beefier. And you just put this up to the edge and you squeeze it and it puts your point in there. So just add hardware. This is where we started. And this is where I ended up with this beautiful Halloween nostalgic painting. I want to take this time to thank you all for watching. Please like and subscribe. I want to thank Made by Marley for the paper. The paper is just beautiful. The new line is out, so go check it out, and I will see you on the next one.